never get tired of that music, buddy.
No, it's a good jingle.
Thank you, nephew David.
He did such a good job. He did such an excellent job.
He really did. He's very talented. It's time for another Chips and Salsa show, Nuevo Mexico.
Amen. Amen to that.
Amen to that. Mucho to talk about, as always.
Yep.
Do you want to start Las Cruces, New Mexico, national?
Let's go national.
Want to go national
I like
first?
national, yeah.
Okay, that's great. And you know why that's great? Because I think I have this on my phone. President Trump, you know about this. I just want to read it real quick. I will not sign other bills until this is passed. That's the SAVE Act he's talking about.
Right.
Not the watered down version. Go for the gold. Must show voter ID and proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballots except for military, illness, disability, travel, those are good exceptions.
Right.
No men and women's sports. No transgender mutilization for children. Do not fail. President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
So I think I support the president very much. And now I can't hear myself, but that's probably okay.
Oh, you
right?
can't hear yourself?
Right, barely. It turned me up a little bit.
Okay.
In case you didn't hear, I support Donald J. Trump. What do you think, buddy?
Well, I think the SAVE Act is probably the number one most important piece of legislation in American history, besides our founding document in the Declaration of Independence, which basically is awesomeness from the founding fathers. And they saw the evil for what it was even in their time. You know, they dealt with it in the best way that they could at that time. And we're still dealing with the same stuff, you know. And then when you got Congress not wanting to pass the SAVE Act, you got Congress, Republicans and Democrats both not wanting to release the files of them engaging in sexual misconduct, and the taxpayer is paying for it. And they're not even counting as campaign contributions; they're actually accounting for it. But it's been decades of these congressmen, Republicans and Democrats both, engaging in hardcore sexual misconduct allegations and just settlement lawsuits. We recently just had a congressman that had a sex scandal with one of his secretaries. She lit herself on fire. You know,
I know, isn't that terrible?
So, you know,
Wow.
I think about the Declaration of Independence because, yeah, we need fair elections, because fair elections would get rid of all these people in Congress. It would make us an actual real republic.
It might purify us just a little bit.
But if it doesn't, if we don't get it, then it's like, look, if you read the Declaration of Independence, it says, you know, all our rights are given to us by God. It says God in there 4 times. But it also says at the very bottom, if your government goes rogue, starts infringing on your rights, destroy it, start anew, you know.
And it's so precious. Our vote is so precious. So our good friend of the show in Arizona, Gabby Saceda Mercer, which if you're watching from Arizona, you know who Gabby is. She texted me this, and she said, call each of these senators, tell them to vote for the Save America Act, which is for election integrity. And
That's right.
he's got Murkowski. You know what? I've got to make it bigger so I can read it. McConnell, of course. I mean, you know, the long shots. Thune, T. Scott, Sullivan, Collins. Who've I missed? Tillis. I think it's Tillis, and then Capito. It's and she goes, I forgot Senator Cornyn. They have the phone numbers down here, but you can look up the phone numbers. You know, call your own senator and just make sure that that's what they're doing. Just a sideline, just for a moment here, we are doing national, but when we get to Ruidoso, we'll speak in depth further. Right now, New Mexico does not have a U.S. senator.
No.
We're lacking a Republican candidate. So we're going to explain that a little bit later in the show, and why don't lose hope, because we still could have one.
Yeah, I believe they're going to go about it through the write-ins and stuff. But yeah, so as far as the SAVE Act, that's got to go through our Congress. You know, it makes me sick. Our Senate makes me sick. They've been ousted, and if they haven't been wanting to get the SAVE Act, because this is 80-20 issue. Both the Democrats and the Republicans want voter ID. And so anyone that's not trying to get the SAVE Act shoved through is already ousted. They're done. So they just need to let go. All right. Your time in there being corrupt and taking money on the back end and stuff, it's over. You had your time. You're not going to jail. You should be grateful for that. Move along.
How do you defend? You're running for office and someone asks you about that. Now, of course, now the left is trying to say, well, you know, women aren't going to be able to do that. They're always, you know, trying to find a victim in this. I'm sorry, but it wasn't that long ago. You had to show your ID. Things worked. All of a sudden, in the last, what would you say, 5 years or more, it's become complicated. And the COVID was a main impetus for this, you know, pushing that mail-in ballot. And it used to be you didn't have to wait a week to find out the results of the campaign, of the election.
And the Democrats, yeah, they just sued the White House. They just sued President Trump for, allegedly he's going to be having ICE agents out at the polling locations here this next.
Oh, they
at the-
don't
at
like
the
that, man.
midterms. Yeah.
They don't like that.
So that's I hope that's the case. I hope we do have ICE agents there. I think that would absolutely demolish the Democrat Party because you can only conjure up so many dead people, so many other bad votes. That a lot of what they do is the illegals voting. That's a lot. That's a lot of what their representation is, and they're outspoken about it. That's who they represent. They're not ashamed about it anymore. But yeah, we should be really pissed off, guys. I know I am. I haven't lost faith in President Trump yet. I haven't. But that's not to go without saying that there's a lot of things I'm really upset about, like Minnesota, Minneapolis. I don't see enough people getting deported, Somalians. Elon Omar is still walking around amongst us, even though we caught her and Tim Walz and his billions of dollars worth of fraud. The Epstein files aren't fully out yet. Like I said, the Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, didn't vote to release the sexual misconduct files of the Congress for the past 30 years. This country is in a lot more trouble than I think we all understood.
There are a lot of things that have to be done, and we should keep track of them like you're doing and just keep reminding them to go after, we had the big news last week. What's her name? Noam.
Kristi Noem got
Kristi
canned
Noem,
because
she
she
got
was
canned.
having an affair a little bit
And
there.
all those things are going to have to happen. It's going to, and I'm trying to be patient. It's hard to be patient. But this SAVE Act, it's very important. He said he's not going to sign anything until it gets passed. And while I'm thinking, I go back and forth. There's always strategy to what he's doing. So I try to be patient. And that's why I always recommend to watch Carl Higbie. I know that you've seen him, and you listen to some great podcasts as well, because those help, not just because whatever they say I necessarily go for, but it helps you to evaluate what's going on in politics, because there is so much going on, and it's hard to keep up. And that's why we do this podcast. And just a reminder here, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube. What I do a lot of times once Zeke uploads it, I try to send it out to a lot of our fans as a link because I know you're all busy. But if you can subscribe, then it should come up. It comes up through email also,
Yeah,
right?
smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends and family. We want to get this podcast as big as we can for the local community. Thank you for that. And then as far as our country is concerned, Nick Fuentes is pretty much out there saying that, and he's a big Gen Z influencer. He's big time. He's very, very popular right now. And he's saying vote Democrat in the midterms. Because he's very disappointed in the Republican Party. Woody Allen as well. Not Woody Allen, who's my famous actor, something Woody, I forgot his name.
Oh, Harrelson? Woody Harrelson?
Not Woody Harrelson, there's another guy.
There's another Woody? Haha, I don't know.
Yeah.
Any other
But
Woodies?
they're upset at the Republicans because the Republicans don't want to push the SAVE Act. And then among other issues, like we saw with them not releasing.
Because they don't want to push the SAVE Act?
Yeah, they're not pushing it. They're not trying to push it through, So I don't agree with that. I think we need to replace the Republicans that we have in there now, that if we're not happy with them, with good Republicans. I think that's the best. I think we need to get more people engaged with the system and get people to turn out to vote. It's already bad enough here, especially in New Mexico. So just voting Democrat, I don't think that's a good solution. But he's out there. He's what they call an edgelord. He pushes things to the edge. He says some really crazy stuff. He goes viral for it. I get it. Alex Jones is on the verge of parting ways with President Trump because of what happened in Iran. That was a very bold move. I still stick by President Trump. I'm not Alex Jones. I'm just letting you know there's a lot of people who are pissed off at President Trump and the Republican Party right now. It's just what it is.
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. Now, so Alex Jones, because he's big, huge influence. So he is upset at Trump. What would he have rather have happened? What was his plan, Alex Jones' plan?
He didn't want to go into Iran. He didn't want any wars at all. I mean, President Trump didn't run
So
on.
just leave things as they were. Is that's what he wanted to do?
I think he could have been a little bit more tactical from what I understand. He didn't have to go so full. I mean, there's other ways that we could have dealt with Iran without going to war and spending $1 billion a day.
But Alex Jones didn't give a specific plan or anything.
Basically, no. There's no. All the White House and the Pentagon advised President Trump not to do this because it was too risky for the economy. And already you can see the gas prices went way up already. We went from under $3 a gallon. I paid $3.59 a gallon yesterday.
I paid that today too.
So the price, and it's just the beginning, But President, so I'm hearing two stories. I hear Alex Jones, I hear guys like Nick Fuentes, and they're griping, and then I hear President Trump, and we just demolished Iran. Basically, we wiped out their entire military fleet.
There have been a lot of successes too. Oh, by the way,
So I don't know
California, I
what's
saw
going on.
$8 a gallon somewhere.
Where at?
California, Cali.
Oh, man,
Cali will take advantage. It's going to be $10 soon.
Those poor
probably.
Californians, and they get hammered. So I don't know.
Epic Fury, what a great name.
It's a great name. I support President Trump, but I just think that it was it's the first time I've ever noticed ever since I've been in politics where I'm hearing different stories completely. I almost feel like it's a psyop, like because Alex Jones was predicting the future for a long time. And so I think that they had to make it so Alex Jones wasn't predicting things anymore because you got to be unpredictable in war. So he's saying something completely different. Not that he's false or wrong, but it's his angle is
opinion.
completely different than what I'm hearing from like Patrick Bet-David, from Nick Fuentes, all the main, even Tucker Carlson, all the main conservative influencers, and Joe Rogan, all the main ones that we've all been watching for so long are all saying totally different things. It's quite bizarre.
And that in itself is very interesting that they have different
Completely different views.
opinions.
So I think that's part of the war strategy. I think they had a talk, a little huddle, like, hey guys, if we want to go to war, we want to make America first. We want to take the world over in a positive way because we want to liberate people. We're not trying to destroy people. We've got to get things to be unpredictable on the news. And I think that's what they're doing. That's just my opinion.
I did hear, let's see, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, because I had recorded Carl Higbee and they had the president talking. And one of the reporters asked President Trump, so President Trump, when is this going to be over? And he said, soon. He wouldn't commit, which is smart. You can't say, tomorrow or whatever. But I really don't think he knows the danger of having it long term. I mean, we have a lot of things politically he's got to worry about, but obviously the country is first. But I still maintain I would much rather have this man in charge than what was the other side.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
I want him to run again. Everybody's like, he's declining, he's getting old. I'm like, I don't even care. I still want him in there. I just don't think anyone else is as smart as him. They have the connections the way that he does. I know we have the problem with AIPAC and Israel and stuff, but it seems like Trump is waking up to it. I mean, Israel had bombed a bunch of desalination plants and hardcore infrastructure oil rigs. They weren't supposed to bomb. President Trump asked them not to bomb them, and they still did it. So, and Israel betrays us all the time. I don't care how you feel about it. They do.
Did they give an answer for why they decided to bomb?
This just happened the other day. So, we'll get the dust is going to settle soon, but they did bomb hardcore oil. I mean, they're never, it's going to take them 10 years to rebuild that. And that's hitting the people there. That's not hitting just the military. That's affecting the Iranian people. So that's why President Trump didn't want to hit that. The oil infrastructure it's not easy to replace.
Goes direct to the people.
Yeah. So, I think he's waking up to the whole, and Israel's outspoken about how they're controlling America now in foreign policy and stuff. And the Americans don't want that. We didn't realize how bad it was until recently. So,
just you saying that, I don't think Trump's going to tolerate that very much because he is a businessman. He has an ego. And I want to believe that foremost, it's about America. And it's about keeping us safe.
But see, I think it goes back to the SAVE Act. I think he could only do so much because the majority of his Congress is funded by AIPAC, by the Jewish lobby. So for him to have any kind of sway against that, or to kind of cleanse ourselves and only have America First agendas, we've got to get real congressmen in there that aren't just funded by international interests. So it goes back to that, and he's trying to push that. So we got to hit him for the bad and praise him for the good. That's what dutiful citizens do. It's our movement. We started this stuff. We're beyond MAGA. People who want 1776, who want freedom, that's our own We the People movement. And Trump just got in on that train via the Tea Party and the MAGA movement. But if he does want to betray us and keep going down this road and doing these foreign interest wars, we've got to get ready for that because that's the reality. A lot of us did not want to go to war with Iran at all. And he still did it. And so that pissed off a lot of people that I respect greatly. Not to say again that I don't trust Trump. I still trust him. I still think he's doing the right thing. But time will tell because people that I really respect and have listened to for years are calling him out for some really bad stuff right now in terms of the war, in terms of Iran. Everything else, I'm good. His local policy is phenomenal. He got us out of the Green New Deal, got us out of the Trilateral Commission,
the border,
Paris Accord, the border. I mean, so I love what he's doing locally. I wish he would do more. I wish we would see Elon more in cuffs. I wish that we would go after these rhinos.
That would make a lot of us very, very happy. Did you tell me that there's a lawsuit? That they're
they sued the
Trump?
Democrats just sued Trump today for putting ICE agents out at the polling locations for the midterms. Apparently,
that's very telling, don't you think?
I would love that. I would love to see ICE agents out of the polling locations because I've been voting before. I've been in the big old long line, and I see like I'm pretty tall for a Mexican guy, right? I'm like
you are tall for a Mexican.
I'm about 6 foot. You know what I mean? So when I got in this line, everybody in there was tiny. I mean, under 5'5", 5'6", little, and a bunch of them. And they weren't speaking English. They weren't hanging out. They looked really awkward. I'm like, I wonder where these people are from. And I still have a picture of it. I'd like to go back and post that again. But so I think that's what they do. They bring illegals over here. They're voting. ICE agents at the polling locations would be amazing. I would love that.
And of course, New Mexico, as a lot of other states have been doing too, is legislators passed legislation prohibiting cooperation with ICE.
Yep.
And that, again, to me, is very telling. Really, you're not going to, law enforcement's not going to deal with the federal law enforcement? It just it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. But it does, like you say, when you think about what is the agenda here? You know, it makes you realize, okay, maybe what we've been hearing, it's not conspiracy. They really want to make it happen.
Yeah.
Another person, and this is a little bit national, but you heard Mamdani? You heard that they bombed
Yeah.
they were trying to bomb?
They try to bomb that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then his little speech, they're twisting it, man. The media's twisting it. They want to still make it a right wing. It wasn't the right wingers that were throwing the bombs, dude. It wasn't.
I love that. I think it was something Lee, or what was his last name? Jan.
And didn't he say Ali Akbar? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
come
two of
on.
them, and he was trained by ISIS. That wasn't put in the news either. But you know, the guy who almost got killed, the bomb didn't go off, and he started to praise Jesus right there. You know, right on the spot. It was because of Jesus that thing didn't go off, and I love that. That was so inspirational to me because guys like us are under attack, and I have been under attack for this, and I imagine it's going to get even worse against me in the near future. And so it just made me want to turn even closer to God and just praise Jesus. I mean, seriously, guys, all these main influencers are just, you know, praising Jesus to the max, and I'm right there with them because we are going full force, frontal into the storm with evil head on right here in politics. This is where it is. And so I just couldn't be more inspired to get closer to God and to pray for those who are fighting for freedom and for those who are running for office, because they don't want us around here. They want to replace us with these newer third world countries to create a permanent underclass. I've said that a million times. I'll say it again. And we can't let that happen. This is God's country, and we got to do everything we can to defend it constitutionally. And that may be via war. That's the Constitution. But for us here locally, we've got to do what we can. Register Republican, vote, and stand up for truth, and get behind the people who are on the same page. And it's so powerful. I can't tell you guys how powerful it is to surround yourself with like-minded people.
It is so well said. And it's very important. This is our 250th anniversary, okay? So it's more important than ever, I think. Every weekend on Mass, we pray for our politicians. We have to pray for our leaders. We really do. But also we need to do our part, because remember, it's we the people. We're the bosses, okay? You don't like what they're doing? You got to be vocal. God wants you to fight for justice. We have to do that. So I love it what you said. You put it in perfect words.
That's
You really
right.
did. That's awesome.
Amen.
Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to New Mexico.
Yeah, we went national.
right?
That's
Did
we can go
take care
back
of everything
national if we want to later.
Oh, one more thing about national though.
Yeah.
Did you see? So the Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away,
Oh yeah.
and they had his funeral, and his son Junior got up there and said, "Hey guys, when you get up here, don't make it political." But of course, who did make it political? Obama. What's her face? Kamala. Biden. Even. I mean, it was shameful. How embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. And you notice all during Trump, when Trump was in office and running for office, you never heard anything from Jesse Jackson because Trump had an alliance with him. And someone played a recording. Did you hear it? And it was Jesse Jackson was going to run for president. And President Trump at that time, I don't think he was a Republican,
Yeah.
but he supported him. So you never heard anything negative from Reverend
No,
Jackson.
I didn't.
So, you know, that's a shame on those guys for doing that. Shame on them for doing it. Okay, now I'm sorry. We'll move on to New Mexico. You went to Ruidoso here recently.
I did.
I didn't go, but what it was a convention. So what happened was there were delegates from all around New Mexico, and they met in Ruidoso, which is not too far from Las Cruces. And so I thought it'd be good for Zeke to give us a report on what happened there since he went.
So the pre-primary convention, what I learned is a lot of people don't have no idea about what's going on with, and I didn't either when I got in.
Thank you for educating us. I'm still learning too.
I didn't either. I ran for lieutenant governor, so I had to understand how this whole system worked, and it's quite bizarre because what it is you'll have people announce for their candidacy the year before the election, right? Sometimes August, September, but there's a pre-primary convention that's usually late February, early March of the year of the election of the gubernatorial. This is so gubernatorial. So the Republicans have what they call a pre-primary convention, and some states don't have this. I just learned this. Some states just have a primary. If you want to
Right.
jump in the primary, you can jump in the primary, and then we'll just let the people hash
All
it
the
out.
candidates that are qualified
Yeah,
run.
you can just hash it out. So for my opinion, it's just basically this is just a way for the Republican Party to kind of like tout their guy, which I think if it was a sound Republican Party and it was tight and it was good, then it would be more of an effective tool. But quite frankly, so the person who's won the pre-primary convention hasn't won a gubernatorial in, I think, over 30 years. But let me go back to explaining it to what it
Wow.
is. So the pre-primary convention is basically a way for the state delegates, the SEC members and the delegates, to vote on the Republican gubernatorial candidate that they want, both lieutenant governor and governor. And so every county has a certain set of delegates. They go to the pre-primary convention. The gubernatorials give their speeches, and then the delegates can submit their vote. And whoever wins this pre-primary convention, that gubernatorial candidate gets an automatic spot onto the ballot.
And they've got to get 20% of the
20%.
delegate vote.
20% delegate vote.
And just for those that are outside of New Mexico, being that I spent so much time in Arizona, a committeeman is like a precinct committeeman in Arizona. And what the committeemen do is vote for the delegates to go
There you go.
to vote.
Yep.
Okay, just to clarify.
Yeah, so that's even further down the step down that rabbit hole. But I think for the gist of it, the gestalt is this is a form or a way for the Republican Party to select their governor candidate to run in the primary. However, you can still get on the ballot for the primary if you get a requisite amount of signatures. It's quite a bit. I think it's like 6,000 signatures. If you get 6,000 signatures for your nominating petition, you can get on the primary ballot. And so what I've seen in the past is people won't even engage or participate in the pre-primary convention. They'll just get these signatures. And more often than not, the candidates that don't engage in the pre-primary convention are the ones that win the primary. And then therefore can go on and win the actual general election.
That's interesting. And it happens that's kind of what happened to Duke Rodriguez. over
Exactly
there,
what he
right?
was doing, yeah.
He did not get the 20% of the delegate vote.
Nope.
But however, he already went in with how many? Like 6,000 or 7,000 signatures?
8,000. He got 8,000.
8,000 signatures. So, which means he does not need to gather any more signatures?
No, he's done. He's on the primary ballot. And so, like the last cycle, I'll give you another for instance, is Mark Ronchetti, the weather guy from Albuquerque, was running. And I was supporting Jay Block because I didn't know what was going on really. I was running for lieutenant governor. I just knew that we had to win this pre-primary convention, right? A lot of us did. So we all fought really hard to get Jay Block to win his pre-primary convention. It was a tough battle because it was him versus Rebecca Dow, which she's awesome, very loved in the community. And so, yeah, Jay Block had barely won the pre-primary convention. So we're over there thinking, okay, this is going to be our guy. He's going to run for governor, and this is it. Well, he ended up getting third place in the primary, okay? Because Mark Ronchetti got the signatures. Even though he didn't engage in the pre-primary convention, he had enough money to buy a really solid amount of ads. And even Rebecca Dow, I think she raised $800,000. He still beat Rebecca Dow significantly.
Rebecca, that's almost $1 million.
She raised $800,000, and she still lost the primary.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure she raised a lot of money. I'm pretty sure it was $800,000 by the time. So she lost it bad. And so the guy who didn't even engage in the pre-primary beat two of our strongest Republican already elected officials, because Jay Block was a county commissioner at that time. He's now a state senator. And Rebecca Dow was a state representative, very popular. Ronchetti, who'd never been engaged with the Republican Party at all, didn't get engaged in the pre-primary convention, basically gets his signatures, gets in there, and wins the primary handily. So that really changed my mind and perspective on how this whole game works and what it's really all about. And I tie it to the downfalls of the Republican Party. Like, look, I'm not trying to bash the Republican Party personally. I'm not trying to bash anyone directly. I'm just trying to everybody look at this through this perspective.
And this is just New Mexico.
This is just, so I was getting to that. We're the worst state in the country, okay? So why wouldn't we have the worst Republican Party in the country? There's got to be some accountability somewhere. We can't just be blaming Democrats for everything. For instance, we just had Ben Ray Lujan, the U.S. Senator from up north. He's running unopposed. We had 12 years to find a candidate to run against Ben Ray Lujan. 12 years, okay? And they still don't really have, they're going to do a write-in with Larry Marker, who's a great guy, but a write-in candidate.
But
what is
why
this,
should it have to be a
1892?
write-in?
Yeah.
It's true. What I was going to ask you is, has anybody ever said, hey, you know what, let's change this system. Let's do it, because I moved here, it's going to be almost 4 years
And
ago.
you guys did it way better over there.
Well, everybody's on there. You got to have a certain number of petition signatures, but you're on there. And the people decide, whenever the primary is, the people decide who the Republican candidate will be in the general. So this way, right now we have who qualified? Just two for the gubernatorial?
I think
Republican?
all of them are going to jump in.
Well, they're all going to, but right now
Oh, that
it's actually
qualified, the 20%? Yeah,
primary.
I believe it was Turner and Greg Hall, obviously.
So that's just only two. But most likely when we hit the primary, and that's June, so that's plenty of time maybe to gather the signatures you need.
Well, they
This
have a
guy
month to
will
get
be
the
on
extra.
there
If they
too.
didn't get the signatures by now, they have a month to get the extra
they have 1 month.
2,000 to get 2,000 more.
Okay, well, it's doable though.
No, it's
I
totally
mean, it's doable.
And they're going to do it.
Absolutely.
I didn't hear that any of them were going to drop out. I think they're all going to get on that ballot, on that primary.
So the question to me is, how influential do you think the Republican Party by having their primary? It doesn't seem to be that essential or effective. What is your opinion?
Well, I did some research with AI, and the last time a pre-primary convention winner had won the gubernatorial, it's been well over 26 years. That's as far back as AI can pull data. So I'm assuming it's been well over 30 years that a pre-primary convention winner has gone on to win the general election in the gubernatorial election. So you would be better off to not win the pre-primary
A better
convention.
chance.
Yeah, you would significantly increase your odds if you got dead last in the pre-primary convention, because those who got dead last more often than not actually make the primary or win the general.
And to change these rules, okay? I mean, looking from all that experience, I say, you know what? It is time for us. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again. In order to change that, let's say we want to change it closer to a system like Arizona has.
Yeah.
Is that the state legislature that does that, or is it just the Republican Party that
That's
needs to
within
do
our own
that?
rules. Those are all in-house rules. We
So-
can do it ourselves. Yeah.
It's, if you become an engaged Republican, maybe we can change that. I mean, I think that's a worthy goal.
Yeah,
in the
you can do
future.
that. If you become a state central committeeman, you can, submit rule changes and have all the counties vote on it in one of their caucuses or whatever, their conventions. And there's a lot of flexibility. The problem is you got to get involved. You can do it. And the chair, Amy Brella, she's awesome. So, and she's reasonable. So if you really wanted to get involved and get things changed, you can talk to her about it. But the problem is not enough people are engaged. Bernalillo
Right.
County is significantly down on engaged Republicans. Most counties have all but given up on the Republican Party in terms of voter engagement. We don't have people that show up to vote that are Republicans here in Doña Ana County. Rarely. For President Trump, we came out and voted. He won Southern New Mexico. But if it's not for President Trump, people just don't show up. They don't show up for local elections. They don't show up for state rep elections here in Doña Ana County. So the down ballot's rough,
Well, and I don't want to talk about this, but I think we have to also, is the fact that there are still many districts that don't have a candidate, a Republican candidate.
It's a big problem.
And that's
It's a
it,
big
right?
problem.
Can you still do a write-in? I mean, how does that system work? Or just that's it?
No, that's it.
They're gonna run
Unopposed.
unopposed?
Yeah, there's like 10, 15 seats. I think it's like 12 seats, 13 seats are unopposed this year.
That breaks my heart. Has
You
it
know.
ever been that high?
It's always been like that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's always been like that.
Well, the only thing that I can say is, okay, the people that they had the stones to run and do the work, we need to support the heck out of them. So maybe whatever, we're still not going to have a majority with that many seats that are running unopposed, but we need to work like heck and try to get those Republicans in. We really do. Our state, I am on a mission, we're on a mission with this podcast to try to reset New Mexico and locally as well, too. But that breaks my heart. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah, it's quite sad, and it's the same area. Now, that's Bernalillo County. That's mostly has those dead red spots in there. And I cease to believe that there's no Republicans anywhere in any of those districts. Like I said, President Trump almost won New Mexico. We only lost by like 5-6 points, which 4 points is
And
within
did
the
we
margin.
really?
And did we really? 4 points is within the margin of error, guaranteed statistically. So at least we are 2 points out of President Trump winning New Mexico. So that means the most populous city in New Mexico has to have some conservatives there that can run for office. So I don't know what the excuse is. We got both the New Mexico Republican Party headquarters there, and we have the Bernalillo County headquarters there. We got 2 headquarters there. So I don't know what the disconnect is there. And I'm not calling any names. This is just me logically thinking, reverse engineering things. You know what
Boy,
I
do
mean?
we need some reverse engineering.
You've got 2 offices there, the 2 most powerful Republicans in the state, basically. The chair of Bernalillo County, because Bernalillo County is our bellwether city, it's our bellwether county, and the
It's
chair,
like Maricopa in Arizona, yeah.
and the chair of the state is in Albuquerque. They both have offices there. What is going on, folks? So this is what I get involved with. I don't try to criticize the Republican Party often, but I will if I need to, and that doesn't discourage me from being a Republican. I'm not going to unregister or anything. I just want things to get fixed so we can all benefit. Humanity can get to another level here in New Mexico, because we're held back here. We're held back big time by our politics.
And we need to get on a path to get more Republicans in office. And
That's right.
just so I totally understand, because right now we do not have a Republican candidate for U.S. Senator.
No, he's going to try to be right in.
And so he's going to try to be a write-in. And he still lacks signatures?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so you can still go. If you are a registered Republican in New Mexico, go to the Secretary of State's website and you can go and you can sign for Larry Marker, right? Okay. And we got to get him. Do you know how many more signatures he needs?
I have no idea.
And then it's always good. I mean, even though you need 1,000, you need to get 2,000 if you can. You get as many as possible. And there are still some other offices now. Okay, when we're recording the show, we're recording on the 9th. I think March 10th is the deadline to get signatures for other offices.
Today was the last day.
Today was the last day.
So yeah, you got to have them by the end of the day today. Yeah.
But you can still continue. Can you still continue for Larry Marker, or is it all signatures?
I think because he's running as an independent. I think he's running as independent as a write-in. I think he still has a little bit more time. He might be done. I don't know. I think it might all be
I thought
done
he
by
was running
today.
as a Republican.
I don't know. That's why I haven't even given. I've been so
It's confusing.
I've been so pissed off that they had 12 years to find somebody to run that race. And Ben Ray is not that strong of a guy. I mean, he's got brain surgery. He's a little slow at the wits. I mean, God bless him. I hope he's okay. But I mean, he's voted horribly as a senator. It wouldn't be that hard to find someone with some decent conservative values that could at least run against him to give him some competition. But so I completely disconnected from that because I'm so upset about that.
And I apologize too because I haven't been able to keep up. There's so many. It's like so many issues we can't keep up with them. So let's say that he doesn't get the required number of signatures. There is a way still for the Republican Party to appoint someone to be in the Republican primary. Do I have that right?
I believe so
see, I might
because what I learned, like with Duke Rodriguez, because the people are challenging him with his, his residency and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a big rumor at the pre-primary convention that his competitors, his gubernatorial competitors, were saying, "Oh no, you can't vote for Duke because if he wins, and they're gonna take him off the ballot, and then the Democrats gonna run unopposed, because they're gonna challenge him." But here's the thing: is that he already won 2 lawsuits. They'd have to mount up a huge lawsuit, and they'd have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he doesn't have a domicile address here in Albuquerque or in New Mexico, which basically means he had never had the intent to live here, but he has business here. He has a house. They'll never prove that. So furthermore, what would happen is say they did challenge it and say that Duke Rodriguez, not going to happen, but say he does get, he steps down, okay? Instead of having to deal with the lawsuit, the Republican Party can appoint somebody. They don't have to let the Democrat run unopposed.
Good.
So that to me reigns true because I learned that. That's probably the case as well, that we can appoint somebody.
And do they have a limited time to do that, or do you know any more details?
As
I'm
soon-
really questioning you. Sorry.
I don't know about that, but for the gubernatorial, they can appoint somebody right away. I mean, he can step down because it's happened in the past. I looked up a previous case law throughout the nation, and because a scandal will come out, and then they'll have to go to trial for that scandal. So that candidate will just be like, all right, well, I'm just going to bow out because I don't want to have to deal with this publicly, And then that's when the party comes in and appoints someone else to replace them.
And and it's always been kind of my complaint. It's hard to find the rules. It's complicated to do that. So if you don't know them, I feel kind of bad, like I say, because I should already know these things, but I don't. And it's hard to find someone who can explain them. And you make me feel better because Zeke's been very engaged for a long time. But to keep up with everything and when it's complicated,
I'm still learning a
and
lot.
so detailed.
I just learned all that.
It's
You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
learned it all.
Well, that's good because we need Republican candidates. We need that. So please support your guy or gal that's out there and is conservative and running because they're going to need your support.
Well, one thing I really like about Duke is that they really are coming after him. They really don't want him in there, and I like guys like that.
That's kind of very Trump-like.
And so, yeah, they're hammering him.
is.
They're hammering. They're to put out. And so, the biggest tactic for Republicans in the primary is misinformation. I found that out too via AI.
That
So
makes sense.
They're throwing a lot of misinformation against Duke out there, saying like, yeah, well, if he wins the primary, they're gonna take him off the ballot through a lawsuit, and then the Democrats are gonna run unopposed. That couldn't be anywhere further from the truth. If he does, for whatever reason, get sued and wants to step down in August, which I already told you that's impossible, we can still appoint somebody. So that type of misinformation is it's pretty jacked up.
I'm so glad you brought that up because someone was asking me or telling me, they said, okay, so what if he wins and then they sue him and he has to step down? And I'm thinking,
We get to appoint
they're
somebody.
so afraid. Yeah, they're so afraid we're not going to have a Republican. It's going to be the Democrat. No, I don't think that's how it works.
That's not how it works, dude.
Right?
No.
Okay.
And they're not telling people that. These other people who are out there spreading these rumors about him are not telling people that we get to appoint somebody. So they're making everybody think that we're dead in the water if for whatever reason he does win the primary and then for whatever reason he does get a lawsuit. But like I said, they can never prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he doesn't have a domicile address here. He does. He's
does have
from
one.
here. He's had a house. He built a house here in 2018. He's got businesses all over the whole state. He was our former secretary, cabinet member under Gary Johnson. I mean, the guy is Mr. New Mexico. he just happens to be a badass entrepreneur, and he's got businesses in Arizona and Nevada and New Mexico. So
He's been engaged. We haven't talked about last week.
I like the guy.
We did our show last week. I think it was before the La Posta,
Uh-huh.
which you and I both went at La Posta,
Oh yes,
which is a famous
Oh, yeah.
restaurant in New Mexico.
that's a great point.
Isabella Solis and the New Mexico State University Republicans, they put together, and they had quite a few candidates. I give them a lot of points. The speaker, the main speaker, was Duke Rodriguez.
Yeah,
And he has a lot of fire.
that was a kick-ass speech. I'm
Okay.
sorry, that was a badass speech.
He had a lot. He would stand up, and he like 2 or 3 times, didn't he? He stood up on a chair. Okay.
Yep.
And what I liked about it, whether you like him as a candidate or not, he did have a lot of fire in his speech. He had a lot of information. Okay. He talked about how so many people, what is it, like 1 million people are on Medicaid in New Mexico?
Massive amount.
And okay, we're only 2.2 million people in this whole state.
Yeah, basically what he said is our population hasn't increased, but our population that's been on welfare and Medicaid has significantly increased. So why is that the case? Because our economy is, there's a lot of reasons for it, but very important point to highlight for him. Honestly, that was the best speech besides my own that I've ever heard
You
from,
are a good speaker.
from a local politician. I swear, it was a very, very good speech. It was long too. It was like 2 hours. I felt like he was hammering us with facts and data and just his childhood and charisma. And it was just a damn good speech. I wish people could see that on social media, but for whatever reason, he doesn't want to put it on social media. I get it. It's his campaign.
Yeah, that's true, huh? And it wasn't live streamed.
No, but it was. If you guys get a chance to see him speak in your local area, please go out and see him speak because it's awesome. Go ahead.
And he had a lot of good questions. And, one of the questions was asked, I can't remember if it was during that or before he spoke, but someone asked, okay, whoever the Republican candidate is, they said in the past, evidently Republicans, because I don't like them, did not support them. And that helps the Democrats get in. And so they were asking all the candidates there, will you still support the Republican candidate?
Nominee, yeah.
All of them did. And all of them did. And we do need to stick together on that. Because even, I'm going to mess up the quote, but I think it was President Ronald Reagan, who said, even the worst Republican candidate is still better than the Democrat candidate. And that's probably is true almost 100% of the time. So I like that. But I did like the fire. Someone called me later, and they didn't care for it. They thought he was yelling too much. But tell you what, look at President Trump. Very different kind of politician. And it wasn't a politician. And I guess, I don't know if you could call him a politician or not. Has he run for
He's not a
office?
politician. No,
Okay.
He's been
So,
appointed,
yeah,
but
I
he never
mean-
ran for office.
And I'm not, some say, well, so you're already endorsing him. Well, no, we have, Mayor Hull is a very good candidate too. And he won the most support
Yeah.
there too.
As far as the show is concerned, we haven't endorsed anybody.
No.
I personally have my favorites and stuff like that or whatever. But the show, I would welcome anyone on the show. If Mayor Hull wants to come on here, I'd love to talk to him.
Yes.
All the candidates, we would love to have them on. They're all very busy. I haven't even entertained having any candidates on. We've been so busy ourselves. So.
We're going to start on that pretty soon. Yeah, we
We
can
got
do
plenty
that.
of time for that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of might wait for the primary to be over.
Yeah, we need.
I don't think the show should get involved with it. Until the
we
primary.
could talk to people that are unopposed, like Republicans
Although-
that are unopposed.
I will say this, and it's up to you guys too. If you guys are listening and you guys want to chime in, please do throw it in the comment section. But the primary for me is the gubernatorial election because Deb Haaland is so terrible. I don't see Democrats voting for her. I don't see independents vote. I don't see her winning, period. And if we're going to have ICE at the polling locations, ain't no way she's going to win. So to me, the primary is the gubernatorial election. So in that spirit, we might do what we can to get these candidates on board and just have an hour with each one of them. And I'm going to ask tough questions. I ain't gonna lie. I'm going to ask tough questions to Mayor Hall. I'm going to have tough questions to Duke Rodriguez because I do have tough questions for him. Even though me personally, I do like him as a candidate, I do have tough questions for him. I don't like a lot of the things that he's said and done, and the cannabis thing keeps coming up. I mean, golly. Look, guys, he's into cannabis. He's made a lot of money on it. He's all about natural healing. He's all about medical. And the reality is that alcohol is significantly better than cannabis. The studies are out there. So if you really have a problem with cannabis, you need to have a
Alcohol
problem.
is better than cannabis, you said?
No, excuse me. Cannabis is better than alcohol.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant.
As far as in terms of your overall health, so if you have a problem with cannabis, you got to channel that energy to alcohol, and other big toxic stuff that's in our environment, in our food. And furthermore, the human species all mammals have an endocannabinoid system, the ECS. Whales have it, mammals, everyone. And our body communicates with cannabis through this endocannabinoid system, and it goes through all of our vital organs. So whether you like it or not, we were made by God to communicate with this plant. Now, does it have to be THC that's hyper psychoactive, that's making everybody a little crazy, which I agree with? No, you can use CBD, CBG, cannabidiol, and these are other things that you can take to help relieve pain, help improve your vital organs. It's a very good tool for wellness and natural healing that could be used with the right intention. And what Duke does say is like, look, the Democrats came in here and just went willy-nilly with the licenses. We see dispensaries on every corner.
They saw dollars.
And they he said at the speech is like they gave licenses to freaking vans and buses and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that was really interesting.
It was
to me.
alarming,
I had
alarming.
no idea.
So he wants to scale it back from recreational, try to go back to medical as much as we can, and I
face
agree with
it,
that.
we have it already. To get rid of it, it's not going to happen overnight. If you want to do that, sorry,
It's
not
going to be
happen.
him. If there's anyone that does it, it's going to be him. Because these other guys, other politicians, they're just going to want to play ball and take the money and let these recreational dispensaries keep running amok the way they have been. So, that's my take on it. I know a lot of people just don't like cannabis. They don't like Duke for whatever reason. Fine, that's fine. Mayor Hall's a good guy too. I think he's a well qualified candidate, and we'll see what the people want to do in the primary.
And we hope that he comes on that show as well. I like the fact that what you did is talked about medical and cannabis versus the THC, because people have a hard time.
Yeah.
When I had sprained my ankle last year, I used a gel or something, and it was very effective. It was very effective.
You use cannabis?
It was a cannabis gel, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very effective.
She's a Democrat now, guys.
For medical. I'm you know what? I'm probably going to get in trouble. Huh?
Well,
I'm going to get in trouble.
well, it's funny.
I'm honest. Sorry, it worked.
Nah, it's cool. It does. It's very anti-inflammatory, and I'm not supposed to say that online. I mean, it works very well. I'll say that. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. But yes, cannabis, CBD, and THC oil is very good for the skin and very good for pain and stuff. But what I will say though is that there's so many different forms of cannabis. It gets confusing. There's tetrahydrocannabinol. That's the delta 9. That's been known to give people psychosis. I don't think everybody should be smoking. I tried to keep medical. I lobbied hard against adult use because I knew what was going to come, and I was right. But I would actually go to Santa Fe and talk to lobbyists. I give presentations to senators and state representatives, and we got it shut down for years until finally it got shoved through during the lockdowns. And then it was so bad that they didn't give us a chance to even help write the legislation. So I'm a champion of natural healing. People talk about it being a gateway drug for this and for that. Well, for me, it was a gateway drug into natural healing, because with cannabis and some yoga and some stretching and physical therapy, I was able to heal myself when they told me I would never run again. So I have a very personal, spiritual relationship with cannabis that most people probably wouldn't understand. I get that. But for those of us who've been in severe chronic pain, who've had dealt with cancer, who've dealt with any kind of ailment that leaves you desperate, cannabis has been a very healthy alternative for people like us. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, and education is the biggest thing, because a lot of boomers, we still have, I think, the idea. I don't, because I know you, and you've given me a lot of information. And we still think about, we're in college and, man, give me some weed, whatever, or pop. We still,
I get it.
They still think about it that
Yeah,
way.
I
So
get it.
education and information is the key. So because we're coming up here on the end, I want to switch real
Oh, wow.
quick
We've burned through that, Tom.
Yeah, to Las Cruces. I'm all about, what we need to do is save Las Cruces. We need to save the city of the crosses. This last week, I don't know what it was, something came over me, and, I still have so much family here and good friends, and I've made some wonderful new friends. This city is worth saving, and there's a lot of good stuff happening. I want to mention that on the 14th, there is going to be, unfortunately, UNM site that is not pro-life. They're really gearing it up construction-wise. So there's going to be a rally. Go to our Facebook site for information on that at what time. But it's a March for Life rally. That's on the 14th of March. The CCIA is still very active. That's a coalition of conservatives in action. They have a potluck this week, Thursday, but next week they're going to have a Homeland Security speaker, and they have excellent speakers. And they meet, remember, at Kitchen Craft, which is right next to Rudy's Barbecue, at 6 p.m. on Thursday evenings, most Thursdays. Just go to our site or go to my site too, on Facebook, and we try to keep things adjusted there and for your information. But those are the local things that I want to hammer out. Both of us grew up here. It is so, sorry for banging the microphone. Both of us grew up here, and it is so worth saving. It really is. Las Cruces, I'm not going to give up, buddy. I'm not.
No, I mean I'm already all in. And that's why I get pissed off at President Trump because it's like, look, you got to get rid of Todd Blanche, man. They're not prosecuting the auto pen guys anymore. They're not prosecuting the voter fraud, the election fraud anymore. They're not prosecuting the Epstein file people, and that's all Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche just registered as a Democrat like a couple of years ago. That guy's a total Democrat
Okay,
plant.
Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche works right under Pam Bondi. He's the
Oh,
he's the
thank you.
he's the
It's like an assistant.
he's basically the one that's actually running the Department of Justice.
Mhm.
Pam Bondi's just basically the front face of it, and she's pretty worthless
And
too.
she's getting a lot of flack, you
Yeah,
know? I
but
mean,
get rid of because look, if they don't get rid of him, the Democrats are going to get in the midterms, and they're going to go after all of his big supporters. They've already said that, and guess who's a big supporter of President Trump? Me. So I have to have the Republican Party succeed. I have to have President Trump win because if he doesn't, I'm screwed. And that's it. I have that type of optimism where it's like I don't have a choice at this point. I'm all in. I'm all in. So I'm not gonna. You're not gonna see me out here trying to push you to vote for Democrats or do anything like that. Like no. This is who we are. We're Republicans. We want this country to be America first. We're about liberty, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and that's it. I'm gonna die like that. This is my hill. I'm dying on this hill right here. I'm all about freedom. So for me, he's got to win, and he's got to get rid of some of these horrible people that are still in his cabinet.
but you're doing exactly what American citizens, Republican Party members, we all should be doing, okay? And someone's doing their job, great. We praise the good stuff. But if we're critical of other things, explain them to us or get them done. And so I think I understand exactly what you're saying, and all of us need to be more like that. And choose a side. Now, if you can't, again, okay, you're a Democrat, you still don't want to be a Republican. Okay, I get it. Somebody sent me something, and they're like, this is one of the reasons that I will not become a Republican. And it was one issue that they had with Trump. And I get it, I understand that. But I still think, and I didn't fire it back to them, but my thing is always, well, okay, my party's not perfect, but we are very pro-life. We don't, you know, and I'll leave it at that. And there's a lot of good things that I will not leave for the Democrat. There's no way that I could ever be a Democrat. And I really think it's better to pick a side so you can help one cause or the other. But if you want to be an independent, remember in New Mexico for the primary, now it's an open primary, so you can still choose the Republican or the Democrat ballot.
Yeah, the thing a lot of people forget is that politics is downstream from with the people. It's downstream from culture. So you can have all these labels about the party, then Democrats and Republicans or whatever. The reality is it's us, we the people. We dictate the culture. We dictate the flavor of whatever expression of political choice that we want to go with. So, getting involved is it, guys. That's how you want to change politicians. You want to change politics. You got to get involved yourself, and you got to impart your own spirit into your local community. And that is essentially what the party that you're representing, the Republican Party, for instance, for us, that's what represents the culture, us. And then even furthermore, the elected officials. So whoever gets elected in that community, they become leaders of the party in that community, and you get behind them and you build momentum with them. That's how it works. I'm just laying you guys how it works. So get involved. That's all I'm saying.
One more thing before we end. So I can't tell you, there's been quite a few people who I thought were pretty engaged and active within politics.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, who is your city councilor? Who is your state representative? They don't know. So that's okay, all right? A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And it's a lot of information. But all you got to do is if you have your voter registration card, it tells you who all your representatives are, from down to your school board representative as well, your school board member that represents your district. And if you don't know, go to the Secretary of State's website, look up your registration, and that will give you that information. Print it out or screenshot it and carry it with you, because that way you know. Okay, that way you know. And if you don't know, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of different positions that you have to be in. And, you and I are involved in politics. But think at least you'll know who that state representative is. At least you'll know who your school board member is. So when they get headlines or we talk about them, you go, oh my gosh, that's mine. I'm going to give them a call. So I'm just encouraging you. It doesn't take that hard. If you have a problem doing that, just text me, message me on Facebook, whatever, and I'll guide you through it so you can do it.
And register a Republican. If you're interested in running an office or just getting involved, go make sure you register a Republican. Because we've lost a couple good candidates because they didn't register Republican by the proclamation date. So if you want to run for office, you've got to register as a Republican a couple months before the actual declaration of that position is open. So register Republican, register Republican, register Republican. It's so important for so many reasons. Hey, we're going to have fair elections this year, guys. This is a good time to get involved and go out there and show up and vote. Say hi to your local friendly ICE guy. They're hanging out at the poll station, and stick a finger up in your head to the
I thought you were gonna
Democrats.
say something.
To the Democrats, it's a do a mental
At
middle
least
finger.
you say in your head.
It's a mental middle finger. You go to vote, you show your ID, and you represent your beliefs. It doesn't take that long, and now your vote actually counts. Okay, we got fair elections coming our way. I believe that. I know that. Trump has to do that. Otherwise, everything he's done so far is basically null and void. So
Keep the faith. And with that, end in the beautiful prayer that you always say. And I
Yes.
want to thank you guys, Chipsters. Keep supporting us. As you see, we're going to get back to our regular weekly podcast. Thank you for your support. Please share this. We appreciate it.
yeah, thank you guys, and thank you, Lord, so much for all of your blessings. And I pray for all the candidates that are running for office this year here in Doña Ana County and throughout the country, Lord, that they have your protection and they have your guidance and your wisdom as they champion values for you, Lord, champion saving the children and champion saving their communities, Lord, because this country needs you and needs them now more than ever. I just pray that you bless them with your grace and your love, and I pray that you bless our community here with your love and your grace, Lord. And I'm so grateful for all of your blessings and all these opportunities, Lord. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Thank you,
Sir.
guys.
Great job. Bye. See you next week.
Cool.
I know. I was going to say, we're going to get criticized for that.